What is up everyone, I'm back here with part 2 of my Rep Paladin 6.2.3 PvP guide. For this part I'll be going over gear, stat priority, and your damage rotation. Now for gear and stat priority, for your stat priority it's going to be strength, then verse, then master and haste, then multi-strike, and then crit. Not only does verse increase your healing and damage, it also reduces the damage you take, so it's really helpful for the extremely squishy Rep Paladin. Now what Mastery does, it increases the damage of your Hand of Light by whatever percent your Mastery is at. And what Hand of Light does is it increases the damage of your Crusader Strike, Hammer of Wrath, Templar's Verdict, and Divine Storm by whatever percent your Mastery is at. So it gives Ret a really big damage buff. Now say you hit an 80k Templar's Verdict and you have 50% Mastery, what it then does, it adds 40k damage to that with Hand of Light. Now for Haste, it increases both your attack speed and your cast time, and it also decreases the time on your global cooldowns and some of your abilities. So pretty much you want to have Haste and Mastery if you want to do the most damage you can do, but you also want to have Verse because it both increases your damage by a bit, but it also keeps you alive. Now crit and multi-strike just aren't worth having. You can't stack stats up enough for it to matter, and the effect just isn't worth it compared to the other stuff. Now for gear, gear is pretty simple. You want to get all the pieces that can get you Verse Mastery or Verse Haste. Now if there aren't pieces like that, and there's a counterpart that is Haste Mastery, you would want to get that. Now I also like to get the 2-step bonus, so I can't get CC'd as hard on my wings. I also like to combine it with my Hand of Freedom glyph, so it reduces all CC on me by 50%. Now that's about it for gear and stat priority. Now I'm going to get into the damage rotation. Now for the damage rotations, I'm going to go over Final Verdict normally, and Final Verdict with wings, then I'm going to go over Seals, and Seals with wings. Now the damage rotation with Final Verdict. The way I like to think of it is that certain moves have higher priority than others at certain times. Now in a state when you have low or no holy power, your number one priority moves can be Judgement, then Exorcism, then Crusader Strike. But then if you have 4 or 5 holy power, you probably want to use Final Verdict. Now for Divine Storm, you really only want to use it when you have a proc and after you use Final Verdict. It's also decent when you use it when all your other abilities are on cooldown. So it's pretty much a filler move to wait for your other abilities that gather holy power, but it can still do a lot of damage if you use it after Final Verdict. Now for your rotation while using wings. It's pretty simple. You pretty much just want to use Hammer of Wrath and Final Verdict as much as you can. Also, whenever you have a Divine Storm proc, if you use Final Verdict and then the Divine Storm proc, it'll do a lot of damage also. So pretty much you want to use your Crusader Strike, Judgement, and Exorcism to use your Final Verdict as much as possible. Then, whenever your Hammer of Wrath is up, you want to use that off cooldown. Also, if you have procs for your Divine Storm, you want to use that every single time after you use your Final Verdict for the increased damage buff. Okay, now to go over the damage rotation with Empowered Seals. Okay, for Empowered Seals, you're going to want to open up with Seal of Righteousness on, and then instantly Judgement, and then switch to Seal of Truth. Then you go through your rotation, gathering holy power, using Templar's Verdict when you have 4 or 5 holy power. Then when Judgement comes back up, you use Judgement, and then you switch to Seal of Justice. Then you continue your normal rotation until Judgement comes back up, then you use Judgement, go back to Seal of Truth. Then you can go back to your normal rotation. Judgement has higher priority than Exorcism, then Crusader Strike. Use Templar's Verdicts when you have 4 or 5 holy power or when you can't use anything else. The only difference here is you only want to use your Divine Storm procs when your other abilities are on cooldown and you can't do anything else, since it doesn't have the Final Verdict buff anymore. And you just need to keep track of your seals and refresh the buff whenever one of them gets low. Now for your rotation while bursting. First off, you want to get your Seal of Truth, Righteousness, and Justice buff up. Then for that, you just want to use as many Templar's Verdicts and Hammers of Wrath as possible, but you also have to manage to keep track of your seals at the same time. It's okay to use Judgement even if you have 3 holy power to get one of your seals up. So pretty much it's using Templar's Verdict and Hammer of Wrath as much as possible while keeping your seals up. That is it for gear, stat priority, and damage rotation. Next time I'll be going over my keybinds, macros, and add-ons. See you next time. Peace.